Welcome to Leger, second stop of your Crankworx World Tour.
The most unpredictable discipline in mountain biking just got even more competitive. Crankworx dual speed and style. In Rotorua, slopestyler Jakob Wenzel proved he could bring the speed and combined it with technical tricks to take the win. Chasing him were racers who could also bring the style. Nobles, Ropolato, and Laurent each proved that speed isn't their only trick. Speed plus style equals success. Here in Leger, the true contenders for the dual speed and style World Tour title will be revealed. It all starts right now. It is your Crankworx Leger dual speed and style.
This is what it's all about. The place to be. Stop number 2 on your Crankworx World Tour in Leger. Here we go.
Several dimensions are shaping victories.
1080, stomping it.
Oh, perfect execution.
The best mountain bike riders on earth.
Check the time here. Can he keep it up?
He enters the final straightaway first. And he crossed the finish line first. He does. Oh, just barely too short.
One queen and one king will claim the title of best all-around mountain biker on the planet.
And a big bonjour to the entire world, and thanks for joining us out here in Leger, France. Yes, it's your Crankworx World Tour, and it's stop number 2. And I'll tell you what, the weather, amazing. We had a little rough stuff last year, but today looks to be awesome. Who am I joined with? The legend, Cam McCall. Cam, Leger, man.
What a place, right? If this is not beautiful, I don't know what is. This place has attracted the best mountain bike riders in the world, and the sunshine actually decided to show up as well. It makes things even better. 90 kilometers of bike trails here in the Port du Soleil region, 3 lifts that allow you to take your bike all the way to the top and ride down, and trails for everybody from beginners to advanced to some of the best riders in the world who have shown up here for Crankworx.
Well, we talk about this being stop number 2 on your Crankworx World Tour. Well, just about 2.5 months ago, we're out there in Rotorua, New Zealand, and we started things off with a bang for your dual speed and style out there. And how did it play out? Well, 3rd place, Mitch Ropolato, a guy you always see in the pump track doing amazing things, showing up, getting 3rd. 2nd place, Adrian Laurent. When isn't this guy on a podium? He was 3rd place in the charge for the King of Crankworx, but 2nd out there in Rotorua. And the winner, his first ever win when it comes to speed and style, Jakob Wenzel taking care of business. Now, we talk about those guys from Rotorua, but who are the guys we're going to watch out for here today?
Well, being in France, we have to talk about Adrian Laurent, not only because he's a French rider and he's going to have the hometown crowd behind him here, but he's got more podiums than anybody in dual speed and style at these Crankworx festivals. And if anybody is consistent, it's him. Basically, this guy comes from a race background, but he learned the tricks to be able to compete here against all these slopestyle riders who compete in speed and style as well.
Well, I got to think a little pressure when you're on your home soil. We'll see how that plays out, but another guy to watch for, who is that?
Well, speaking about diverse backgrounds, Mitch Ropolato comes to mind. This guy started out on a BMX bike as a kid, learning tricks, and then he kind of grew up and he morphed into this mountain bike racer, doing enduro races, downhill races, but he still remembers those tricks. And we saw him pull out a front flip in Rotorua. That was a big surprise to everybody. Will he have more surprises for us here in Leger?
Well, no surprises in the king of Crankworx chase right now. Matt Walker with 1 event under his belt, 280 points. He's in the lead. Adrian Laurent, he's in that 2nd spot with Slavic, your defending king of Crankworx, in that 3rd spot. But let's talk about Crankworx Fantasy. That's right, where you can pick your own teams and see how you do against the rest of the world. I'll tell you what, it's changed this year. It's daily. Daily prizes given up. Now, you can't pick it for speed and style today because you're too late, but you're not too late for your pump track challenge tomorrow. Today, if you have picked your team, you have a chance to win a Kyle Strait kit. That is handlebars and a worn jersey from Kyle Strait. No, he didn't even wash that jersey. But I got to ask you, Cam, have you picked your team yet?
Absolutely not, because I don't want any part of that stinky Kyle Strait jersey.
Well, I don't think you're allowed to win it, but that's the deal right there. Go to Crankworx Fantasy and pick your team for the pump track challenge tomorrow. So that is how you win online, Cam, but how do you win today in the actual competition? What's our comp format?
Here's how format works for dual speed and style. Basically, we've boiled it down to the fastest 16 racers. We have 3 judges and 2 courses, basically a dual slalom track with jumps. It's a head-to-head format. Each rider is taking 1 run on each course. For a total of 2 runs, you switch sides for the second run. Now, it's a race, you're battling the clock, but there's also a score. So your trick bonus per jump is added together with your time to create your overall run score. Now, you're looking for a small number on your run score, so the lowest combined 2-run score is going to help you advance into the next round through those brackets.
And a guy who did that absolutely perfect just 2.5 months ago, Jakob Wenzel, standing by right now with Cam.
Jakob, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. I got a couple questions for you. So, conventional wisdom would say that slopestyle riders aren't that fast, but dual speed and style proves that theory wrong. You won in Rotorua. I want to know what your strategy was like. It looked like you were deciding what tricks to do based on who your opponent was. What's your plan? How do you figure that out?
I don't know. The thing is to probably choose the tricks that you can land smooth and keep that speed. So, I don't know. I guess there's no secret, but maybe sometimes to do a little easier tricks that you're comfortable with is probably like the way to do that, I guess. That's how I do it.
You had some unique tricks in Rotorua as well. Do you have anything new for us today, or are you going to stick to a similar plan that got you the win out there?
I have a lot of tricks, but so far I'm probably doing similar stuff, and we'll see like how is that going to go. In case I need something bigger, I have tricks to do. We'll see.
Right on, man. Rooting for you. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, you hear what he said. I like what you said about it because it seemed like he was planning his tricks for what he needed to do against all the competitors.
Well, it's got to be tough for a guy like Jakob Wenzel who has so many tricks in his bag to choose which ones. But update today, he qualified first, so he's the fastest guy out there with that deep bag of tricks. Smart money's on Jakob Wenzel today.
So he's got the bullseye on his back, and you can see there the round of 16. That's how we're going to start it with the round of 16. And Jakob Wenzel, he's going to be going at a guy by the name of Hannes Slavik. Now, he's the brother to Thomas Slavik, right?
I mean, they got the
relative?
same last name, so I'm
Okay.
going to say there's got to be.
They're from the same country, too.
And look at this. They can, you know, when Jakob was in the gate with another Czech Republic rider, you can see them talking to each other right now. It's Czech Republic versus Austria. So I'm going to say he's probably not related then in that case.
Well, maybe down the road, maybe like a great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, twice or third removed, something like that.
So Jakob Wenzel on the left of your screen right here. Here we go, back to the racing, starting things off here.
Jakob Wenzel with that 360 tuck no-hander. Hannes Slavik with just a one-hander, but Hannes definitely out to a big lead in front of Jakob at this point in time. Jakob's really good at staying calm, though, and keeping close.
And we saw that with him in 2 months ago. He was always just keeping close, but he was the one who advanced on and took the win. Oh!
A big backflip combo. It looked like potentially a backflip bar spin X up for Jakob Wenzel. A little X up for Hannes Slavik, so that's not going to help his score, but he was pretty far out ahead.
Yeah, 1.19, I think that was the difference on it. So let's see how that works out, because now what they do is they look at the time. So the time is the time. So we saw Wenzel not getting the win on the time, but now is where they compare the jump start of it. And you said the lower score is the best score, right?
Yep, you're looking for that number, that combined run score to be as small as possible. That's what you're looking for. Basically, golf scoring is what we're imitating here.
So we will see what the judges think there about Jakob Wenzel and taking the big win. Let's take another look at it here.
So side by side on that first jump, looks like Jakob Wenzel scored a whopping 90 to Hannes Slavik's 0. Another 0 for Hannes Slavik on the last jump. And for that, looks like a backflip double X up, a 75 for Jakob. So kind of sticking to that similar plan that got him a win in Rotorua.
Well, look at this right here. By those 2 jumps right there, he is going to take the lead on that one. So no matter, Hannes Slavik was faster than him, but Jakob Wenzel doing what he did 2.5 months ago, just keeping things close and winning it on the tricks and taking the advantage there. So now we take it back up top. Next up is going to be Simon Godziak. It was supposed to be going against Kyle Straight, but let me show you what happened in the round of 32 in practice, what happened to Kyle Straight. Take a look at this.
This was unfortunate in the round of 32. Kyle Straight neck and neck with another opponent in this first bracket. And things get really bar to bar in dual speed and style. So close on this one that they actually collided mid-air. Both riders doing a backflip. You could see Kyle runs into him, and look at that left knee right there. I was talking to Kyle. It sounds like...
Look at this. Here you can see that left. Look at the foot just kind of hanging off, not even on that pedal, no pressure on that pedal at all. So here's Simon Godziak. He's just taking a buy run right here, so he doesn't really have to do anything. So he doesn't even have to show his cards on the trick style, right?
But he has to make sure that he doesn't miss a gate, which he did a great job of that. But that's the only challenge in a buy run, is making sure that you don't miss a gate, because with dual slalom rules, that's an instant disqualification.
So Cam, focus on the gates and don't focus on your jumps on a buy run. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, tough break for Kyle Straight, but an easy advancement out of that round for Simon Godziak.
And we talked about this guy earlier, talking about Mitch Ropolato. Mitch Ropolato going against Bernard Kerr. Bernard Kerr in that orange kit right there on the right side of your screen. Mitch Ropolato, USA's very own Ropolato, in that green, those green pants, Troy Lee design.
So both of these riders coming from the race background. Mitch Ropolato, however, a lot more tricks in his bag than Bernard Kerr. Let's see what they do on this first jump. A flat spin 360, perfect landing for Mitch. It looked like absolutely no trick for Bernard Kerr, but he does have the lead here, focusing on his strengths, not taking himself out of his comfort zone. But if Mitch can stick close here and do some tricks, he's going to be looking pretty good once they get that combined run score. Another 360 for Mitch Ropolato, making it look so easy. What's he got for a score there, Brad?
Well, you see that he's going to take the winning in speed. Bernard Kerr has actually won a speed and style event. Now, format has changed a lot since Bernard Kerr has won it. So you got to think that Ropolato, will he make it up in the tricks? We saw the front flip out of him 2.5 months ago out there in Rotorua. And he said today that he wasn't thinking front flip at all today.
Yeah, but he wasn't thinking front flip then either. Competition and pressure can do amazing things for changing your plan.
Good call, Cam. All right, taking a look at the replays here.
So Mitch was actually out in front of Bernard Kerr right there. He's even toned in that 360 more now in the last couple months than he had it in Rotorua. So even if he doesn't dig deep for that front flip, that 360 is more and more consistent now, with a 45 for a score on both jumps.
Well, 45, but the leader's going to be Bernard Kerr because he had the speed, so he had enough of that. Mitch Ropolato is going to have to reach deep and show some more of the tricks for sure on that one. So that's how that one's going. They're going to be heading back up top and do it again, but I think it's about time we check in with Hannah and get a kind of a feel on what's going on with the course conditions right now. Let's send down third member of our team, Hannah Bernard.
Right,
what's going on, Hannah?
Very different conditions from last year. If you tuned in last year, you remember this. Very, very, very wet week here at Crankworx Leger. Lots of rain coming in and very greasy sections that we saw in this competition. Coming into the race here today, very, very different. If you come down, you can actually see it. It is very dry, almost ideal conditions coming into this race, and this course is riding so fast. Talking to both sides of the riders, both the free ride guys and the racers, free riders thinks it favors the racers because it's riding so fast, and the racers thinks it's favoring the free riders because times are going to be so close. So those guys that are going to be able to trick these jumps may have the advantage. The general consensus is from both sides of the track is that it's anyone's game out here today, guys. Back up to you.
I like that. We agree to disagree when it comes down to things like that versus the racers versus the slopestylers. Our next matchup, they're ready to go. They're up in the gates right now. We're talking about Jeremy Berthier and Mitch Chuby. Chewbacca on the right, and you got Jeremy on the left.
Now, watching these guys in the preliminaries earlier today, it sure seemed like they both had somewhat similar tricks. So we'll see what they pull out here in this bracketed race run, but this could be a pretty tight round.
And it looks like, pretty neck and neck, but Chuby's going to get to that jump second.
A flip bar spin, looks like he maybe even did a flip bar spin X up for Mitch Chuby on the black course right here. Chuby out for the lead with a bigger trick on the first jump. This guy's been around for a long time, really cut his teeth on the slopestyle and freeride circuit, but definitely no slouch on the race course either. Missing the trick on the last jump, but with that big of a lead and that big of a trick on the first jump, and it looks like Jeremy Berthier may have had a problem up top.
Well, and we saw the difference between, they're looking at him right there, so he went down. So Chewbacca will get the advancement on that. And I like the way you talked about Chuby, Cam, the fact that Chuby made the transition from slopestyle, has moved now into competing in pump track and also in speed and style. So kind of that next level, but a consistent rider, Chewbacca for sure.
Yeah, Chewby's great, man. He's been around for so long and he's seen so much, so he brings that experience to the mix as well. And in dual speed and style, it's really important to stay focused. The more you've been around, the more you're able to do that.
Well, he's lighter this year too because he cut his hair. He had the locks flowing last year, so it probably gives him a little bit more speed, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. He had shoulder-length hair just a couple months ago in New Zealand. Hardly recognize him right now.
Well, that's how it's stacking up right now between those gentlemen, but it looks like Chewby obviously will be the one to take the advantage over their first matchup right there. Well, we're just getting started in our round of 16. We've seen the one race out of our guys so far. We've seen the advantage going to Jakob Wenzel, the advantage going to Simon Godziak, and Bernard Kerr getting the advantage, and Chewby getting the advantage of the first matchup. Well, we're going to send them back up top. We got Daryl Brown, Mikey Hatterer coming up, Barry Nobles, Greg Watts, Adrian Lerone, Thomas Slavic, Bas van Steenbergen, and Martin Soderstrom, all coming up. The round of 16 continuing with our first runs right after this.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by Leger Bike Park, the best bike park in all of Europe. Well, let's take a look at how things are shaping up in our dual speed and style standing. Well, we've only had one event so far, Cam, and that's how it's looking.
Yeah, Jakob Wenzel getting his first dual speed and style win at the first event this season. You know, he had a podium last year, hinting at the fact that he could do well, but he's leading the standings here so far.
And taking a look at now, you see the ones in yellow. That means they have won their first matchup. They still have to go against each other one more time. And you see the guys in all the white letters. We go back to racing right now. So we've seen so far 4 races. We got 4 more here in the round of 16. So we move on to heat number 5, and that's going to pit Daryl Brown, last year's winner in Leger, against Mikey Hatterer. American Mikey has made the show in the top 16. There's Mikey right there on the right-hand side of your screen, and you're seeing Daryl Brown, former winner from last year, on the left. Here we go.
Great to see Mikey Hatterer on that black horse right there, making it into the big show against last year's winner, Daryl Brown. Like you said, Daryl won last year in the mud. He comes from Great Britain, so no stranger to the mud.
He's used to it, I get it.
And I think he qualified pretty well out here. I think he was about 3rd place in the seeding runs. So who knows, maybe a chance to repeat out here for Daryl Brown, but he's going to need a big trick because Mikey Hatterer is putting it to him on the race side of things. A backflip tuck no-hander for Daryl Brown against that X-up for Mikey.
And look at that, 0.78, the difference between those guys regarding the speed. So Hatterer definitely has the advantage from the speed, but when we break down these jumps, I think that Darrell Brown should take the edge here since he kept it close. And that's the key. If you can't beat him in speed, just stay close because your tricks can actually be the equalizer at the end.
Well, Darrell Brown has a pretty good formula he sticks to. We see this pretty often from him, dual speed and style, going with that 360 tuck no-hander and a backflip tuck no-hander. Sometimes he'll mix up which jump he does those tricks on, but those are the two he likes to stick with the most. Having two different types of rotations, both with a variation, the judges seem to like it.
Well, we'll see what the judges think of the jumps. Now we'll compare them right here. Here we go.
To take a look at that 360 tuck no-hander.
70.
Pretty tough trick, getting him that 70 and a 70 for the backflip tuck no-hander as well. Now Mikey Hatterer doing a little bit of defense, just trying to get that X up out. 20 points, definitely gonna help him chip down that benefit that Darrell Brown will have for those bigger tricks.
Well, Mikey, to his defense, did say he have a couple tricks that he hasn't put out there yet, so maybe he has to reach down deep if he wants to advance. I talked to him about being in the show, and he goes, the fact that he has to face Darrell Brown first, that's the tough part.
Yeah, last year's winner out here, no pressure, but it's a tough road even to make it into this round right here of 16 of the best dual speed and style racers in the world.
Well, here we go. Next up, it looks like we have Barry Nobles and Greg Watts. So Watts, you can see in that Rockstar helmet on the right-hand side. Then you got Barry Nobles. He is over there on the left. So USA versus USA in this one, Cam.
Well, both of these guys definitely have a chance to take the win out here. So to see them both pitted against each other in the round of 16 is tough. A backflip for Barry Nobles, a backflip variation with that X up for Greg Watts. Looks like Greg Watts has the advantage on speed at the moment.
Oh, look at this, yeah.
And Barry Nobles is thought to be more of a racer who's been adding the tricks. Greg Watts thought to be more of a trick guy who's been adding the speed. What do they have on the last jump? A backflip, bar spin for Greg.
Oh.
Some sort of no-footed backflip variation for Barry Nobles. Maybe a super flip attempt.
So look at Greg Watts with the speed on that one. By .73, he takes the advantage on speed. 24.21 for Watts. And Watts not only has a big bag of tricks, but he also has speed as well, Cam.
Big time. And you know, Barry Nobles, the same could be said for him, but he's actually nursing an injury of some sort. He was at the hospital today getting his, I believe it was his hand, getting that checked out. You wouldn't know it by watching him ride right now, but definitely pushing through some sort of pain.
Yeah, he says it's hard. Well, I talked to him during the whip-off last night. He was saying it's really hard to hold the bars. And when he's flipping like he's doing, you can see that being a disadvantage for him.
Well, nice straight flip for Barry Nobles, a backflip X-up, which will score higher. Greg gets a 70 for that.
Nobles 40.
Looks like it was a super flip for Nobles. He got a 50, so a good reward for that, but no match for Greg Watts' 70 in that backflip bar spin.
Boy, that's a tough one to go when you're Barry Nobles and you don't have all the tricks that Watts has, but you have a lot of tricks. But when Watts comes out and has speed, that pretty much just shuts it down right there. What are you going to do?
Yeah, being fast, Greg Watts definitely sets himself up for success, but also having a very deep bag of tricks. He can reach as far as he needs to into that thing.
There is the king of Crankworx, Thomas Slavic right there. He's a guy who's won this event before. Slavic has done it in a big way, and he's going to go head against Adrien Lerone. How did he become the king? Well, take a look at this. The road to the king, dual speed and style, first in Rotorua, Pump Track Challenge in 2016, third in Leger, dual slalom, Whistler, first last year and fourth in the Pump Track Challenge in Whistler. That's how Thomas Slavic is the reigning king. Hail the king, Cam.
Getting all those points in 3 different disciplines, I guess that's the way to do it. Enter into as many events as you can handle. And right here is definitely one of the ones where you know, he's earned some points in the past.
Adrien Lerone on the left, Thomas Slavic on the right. We're racing.
Well, it's crazy to think that here in the round of 16, only one of these guys, both of them top name riders in this discipline, only one is going to make it through to the round of 8.
Well, Lerone's just got to keep it close because I think he has more for the bag of tricks.
Slavic is looking so fast, opting for the trail bike here. He's a rider we typically see riding a hardtail and dual speed and style. A backflip for Adrien Lerone, just an X up for Thomas Slavic. Will those little tricks from Slavic be enough?
So Slavic right there will have the advantage with the speed, but now we'll break down the tricks. And we know that Adrien Lerone has been working so hard in the off-season to have tricks for speed and style.
It looks like they're checking out his tire. Maybe he's got a slow leak or something.
You can see Slavic, these guys are ultimate competitors against each other. Always see him go to head-to-head. Take a look here.
A very nice 360 for Adrian Lerone right there.
45 points worth.
Thomas Slavic not known for the tricks, but he makes up for it with that speed and using that trail bike here. Looks like that thing is really sticking to the ground.
So zeros for Slavic on both jumps, a 45 and a 42 for Adrian Lerone. But because he beat him by that amount of time, that means Slavic is going to be the leader when they go get it. But only by 0.20. So Adrian Lerone can change things up and see if he can take him down.
It just goes to show how incredibly fast Thomas Slavic really is.
And I've been really excited about this matchup right here. The return of Martin Soderstrom. He is there on the right, that Red Bull helmet. Then you see Bas van Steenbergen. He is on the left right now. So Bass ended up in that 4th spot in Whistler last year. Had to go against his brother, but ended up 4th. Here we go.
Well, Bass going up against Martin Soderstrom needs to do a trick. I don't know if that toboggan's going to be enough because Martin's right behind him with a double tail, a trick that is going to score incredibly high. Bar to bar in this middle section of the course, Martin Soderstrom actually squeezing into the lead.
Soderstrom's just got to hold it together. What's he got for the final jump as both these riders approaching it?
Martin, 360, clicked inverted table right behind Bas van Steenbergen.
And you look at this right here, Cam, 0.51, that's the difference on those two, but I got to think the tricks are going to equalize things out, and Martin should take the advantage here.
Well, it's great seeing Martin look so comfy on the bike. He's obviously battled through so many injuries in recent years, but looking very fast, and with those classic Martin Soderstrom tricks, great extension on that 360 table.
Well, and I talked to him this morning. He was saying that he loves the new format. He was watching in Rotorua. He was very happy with what the changes that were made, so he wanted to get back out there and compete, and he's done just that. Now let's see if he can advance on or at least take the advantage here in their first matchup.
You know, I say this every single event, but Bas van Steenbergen, man, you need to get some more tricks. That little toboggan's not going to cut it, and no trick there on that last jump against Martin Soderstrom's super stylish combo. And you know, the way the judges score these guys is similar to how they score the slopestyle, so the extension on that table is definitely going to help.
Look at that, 1.34, so a 90 and a 70 for Martin on the jumps, zeros across the board for Bass. So like you said, Bass is going to have to work on some tricks and bring it, especially if you're going against the likes of Martin Soderstrom. Let's send it down to our third member of our team, Hannah Bernard. Hannah, what's going on down there?
Thank you very much, guys. Well, I'm here talking to Martin Soderstrom. Now, what a story, you coming into this competition today. You've been away for a little while, battling injuries these last couple years. How good does it feel to be back racing on the bike?
Oh, it's so good. I can't even, explain it. It's, yeah, as you said, it's just the hardest thing to be injured. And then at the same time, you're watching the event and see everyone smiling and see all your friends hanging out, doing high fives, and you're like, at home, and you're like, cool, good times.
Well, you came back into it with vengeance, a double tail whip on that first jump. How good does it feel to have that one in your pocket?
Oh, so good. And now I have a little bit of an advantage on Bass, and he's so fast, so I really need that. So that feels good moving into the next one.
Best of luck in the second run. Thanks so much.
A little bit of an advantage. I think he has a huge advantage. 1.34 if I'm correct on that one. All right, well, a couple of months ago in Rotorua, that was the place for speed and style. And what an amazing day it was out there. Well, you rewind the clock about a couple of months ago to start things out in Rotorua. Stop number 1 on your Crankworx World Tour. Dual speed and style did not disappoint, did it, Cam?
No, we boiled it down to the final 2, and it was an absolutely perfect final with Adrian Lerone, the racer, in the jersey against Jakob Wenzel from Czech Republic, full t-shirt. So Adrian Lerone in that bright red jersey right there, full race background, but look at the tricks he has, Brad.
Oh, you know, Jakob keeping it close to the racer, Adrian Lerone.
The most impressive thing for me at this event was watching how tight Jakob Wenzel could stick to the racers, and then the strategy he was using, deciding which trick to use against each opponent. A backflip with 3 X-ups on that one.
So key to what Jakob Wenzel was doing. His tricks were bigger and better, but he was staying close. He wasn't getting it on the speed. But look, Adrian Lerone, he has a bike Sherpa. Someone's carrying his bike, Cam.
That says pro right there. But look at Jakob Wenzel actually getting the whole shot on the racer, Adrian Lerone. And right now, even though Jakob Wenzel had the disadvantage, he knew he had to play the strategy card. And right here, being more of a racer and going just for a backflip X-up, but sticking close is the name of the game.
And that is what it is. You got to pick the tricks that's going to keep you close in the race, especially going against Adrian Leron. And Jakob Wenzel, when the dust cleared, was your winner. All right, so let's get back up top, Cam, and let's do this thing again. There's Jakob. He's got a game face on, doesn't he?
Yeah, Jakob's a focused guy right now, and you know, he's a slopestyle rider, but he's applying that focus to this venue right now, becoming one of the top dogs. And it's pretty cool to see him have this re-emergence in a different discipline. Yeah, definitely the guy to beat these days.
Austrians, Hannes Slavik, he is on the left-hand side. You got Jakob Wenzel, the winner from Rotorua, on the right, back to racing. Second and final matchup.
Jakob has the advantage coming into this round, so he can play around a little bit, switching his trick up, doing a 360 table, not taking the hands off, so keeping it a little bit calm, knowing that he can basically just ride his own race right now and just make sure he stays in front of his competitor. It looks like he's doing just that.
He doesn't need the biggest trick here, but he just needs something solid. Gonna set that down, no problem with the backflip. He'll put that down, and he's not only gonna take the winner's speed, 24.34 to 26.47, but the advantage is gonna go to Jakob as well. And definitely, this is all a formality at this point, because Jakob Wenzel is gonna be moving on this one.
He knows how to win, so he's pacing himself in these preliminary rounds right now, saving some energy for the round of 8, maybe round of 4, maybe round of 2. We'll see how it goes.
Jakob, you know, playing it smart last 2 months ago out there in Rotorua. And like we talked about, he was coming in second place pretty much every time, but his tricks made up the difference. And you said it best, Cam McCall, as long as you keep it close, your tricks are going to equalize things out.
That's it right there. If you're more of a trick guy than a race guy, stay close. And if you're more of a race guy, you know, push it a little bit. You know, you gotta get that gap as big as possible, but it sure doesn't hurt to learn a couple tricks.
Well, there we go right there. That is official, like a referee's whistle on this one. Jakob Wenzel, he'll be advancing on, and that is going to do it for Hannes Slavik. I'm sure we'll see Slavik in Innsbruck when we come up next week, because he is from Austria. So we saw Simon Godziak. He had a bye because he was able to do things because Kyle Straight was knocked out in the round of 32, so that means that matchup in the quarterfinal is going to be Jakob Wenzel, Simon Godziak, and both of those guys got tricks. It's going to be down to who's faster on that one. Speaking of fast guys, look at Bernard Kerr. He's on the left. He is one fast racer for sure, and he's going against Mitch Ropolato. The advantage right now is going to Kerr. Can Ropolato switch things up here and take the win and advance on?
I would imagine he's just going to push the speed a little bit more because he's looking so consistent with those 360s. He's only got a .16 to make up. So I'm going to say we're probably going to see the same tricks unless he really gets inspired here. Bernard Kerr with a really fast start, a 360 yet again for Mitch Ropolato. It looks like a similar strategy in terms of tricks, but a foot off for Mitch. That's not going to help. Somehow still in the lead. Now these courses are different. So one of these courses is going to be a little bit faster than the other. That's just the nature of the beast in the dual slalom type format. Another 360 going long for Mitch. Did he stay close enough?
0.29 the difference. That might just be close enough depending on the scores for the tricks for Mitch Ropolato, because I think Kerr's going to get zeros across the board on his jumps.
Well, Mitch pretty much landed at the finish line on that last jump.
He took that thing to flat almost.
Knowing that he had a bit of a bobble in the middle, it looks like he was just putting the pedal to the metal on that last jump. not really caring where the nice spot on the landing is.
Well, and at this point, we don't even know who's going to be moving on because the difference between these guys after their first matchup was 0.19. Advantage going to Kerr. But talking to Ropalato today, he's not thinking about that front flip today, he says. But let's take a look at it. The last jump, let's take a look at Bernard Kerr here at the last jump going against Mitch Ropalato. Looks like Mitch is kind of winded here.
So last jump, Bernard Kerr, absolutely zero trick. And I know the way that the format works, sometimes if you have zero trick, you're gonna get time added to your score. Now Mitch needs to get rewarded for that 360. Not easy to spin that full-on trail bike. Big wheels, big frame.
Taking another look here.
There's a look at the first jump as well. It looks like Bernard Kerr didn't trick any of those jumps. And traditionally you get pretty docked for doing that. Let's see what the judges did.
Well, here we go.
There it is.
Negative 30 for Kerr, and that's
Minus
a 50.
30.
A 50 and a 50, negative 30 and a 0. So that means Mitch Ropalato has made up the difference, and Mitch Ropalato will be moving on, and that's going to do it for Bernard Kerr. He is done for the day.
Well, it's good to see the judges being consistent with the actual written format of the event these days. This event format has evolved so much in recent years, but if you don't do a trick, it's called speed and style. So a 0.3 being added to Bernard Kerr's time.
Well, Leger Pump Track Challenge tomorrow, we'll be able to see Mitch Ropalato back in the pump track action. He'll be tomorrow. There's your times for the show. Join us for the broadcast on that one. Well, let's head back up top for our next two as they are stacked and racked. Jeremy Berthier on the right, and Mitch Chubby, the leader right there. And Chubby with a pretty good advantage, I would say. That's an eternity, 7.12.
If you think back to run one with these guys, Jeremy Berthier had some trouble mid-course, a bit of a crash, resulting in that 7-second lag time behind Mitch Chubby. So Mitch basically just has to keep her in a straight line here.
He still is going to need some tricks, and obviously he dumps that out, no problem right there. Gets in that backy.
Skipping the variation, knowing how big of an advantage he has.
And a smart move because, comboing it up gives you one more chance to mess things up.
It doesn't take a mathematician to know what 7 seconds looks like. So Chubby playing it smart here, just keeping Jeremy Berthier within his line of sight. But don't miss a gate or hit the timing lights.
So Jeremy Berthier, of course, he's going to take the winner's speed just by 0.41, but the difference definitely was in that first matchup because Berthier went down. So Chewbacca will definitely have the huge advantage going into that second one. So without seeing the results right now, you got to know that Chubby is going to be moving on.
That was about as close as you could get to that timing device without smashing into it. Nice save for Mitch right there.
So taking a look at him right now. So Mitch Ropalato has done his thing. Now we'll take a look at the jumps. So 40 for Chubby on that, 40 for Berthier. So they keep it even. 40 opposed to the 35 from Berthier.
Wow.
Oh, that was close, huh, Cam?
Quick thinking for Mitch right there, dodging that timing device.
So Chubby has done what he needed to do. Made the difference. No way could that have been messed up or made up unless Chubby would have went down. So Chubby advances on. So it looks like in the quarters is going to be the battle of the Mitches. Mitch Ropalato against Mitch Chubby. All right, and a guy who, let's talk about this guy right there, Darrell Brown. Rainy conditions, muddy conditions last year, he took the win. And I picked him on my fantasy team because of the conditions, because he's from Great Britain. So this year, whole different deal. Mikey Hatterer, who's he going against? Mikey's got to make up a 0.61. Darrell Brown's got tricks. Can Hatterer match the tricks, Ken?
Pretty impressive for Mikey Hatterer to only be 0.61 back off Darrell Brown. Like you said, last year's champion. There we go. Mikey Hatterer trying to step it up with that backflip, but having to bail off of the bike. You don't see Mikey Hatterer backflip very often, but making it into the main show.
I don't think I've ever seen him backflip.
Willing to roll the dice, and if you don't do it very often, I'll tell you what, that's hard to pull the trigger on that. But that's what competition does to a rider.
Well, he's a smart man. He knew what he needed to do. You're going against Darrell Brown because he had reservations going against Darrell Brown. He goes, look, I'm happy that I'm in the round of 16, but I'm facing Darrell Brown first. That's not cool.
And I'm glad to see him push it. He'll go to sleep tonight feeling good that he tried. But basically, for a dirt jumper who does backflips all the time, the backflip may not be that big of a deal. But for Mikey, he comes from the race background. He never flips. So to see him actually pushing it, It was really cool to see. So let's take a look back right here. How to do a backflip and then how not to do a backflip.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Let's start out with the not. Take a look at Mikey Hatterer right here. Realizes when he spots his landing that he yanked way too hard, but like a cat hops off the bike and lands smoothly on his feet. Darrell Brown looked very routine for a guy who does it in his sleep.
And I almost think Mikey could have got that around a second time, man. So that's going to be Darrell Brown. He gets to move on that one. So Darrell Brown will face the winner of our next matchup, or coming up for you, and that's between Barry Nobles and Greg Watts. There's a look at it. So Jakob Wenzel, that's set for the corners against Simon Godziak. Then Mitch Ropolato going against Mitch Shuby, the battle of the Mitches. And then Darrell's got to wait across, see if Greg Watts can take care of Barry Nobles. All right, well, there's a lot of social media going on, and Facebook is definitely one of them when it comes to Crankworx. It's facebook.com/Crankworx. You know what? If you love watching Crankworx, give it a like. Cam, you've given it a like, haven't you?
Oh, heck yeah. With all the different disciplines out here, it's kind of cool to have one place where you can just go get caught up on everything.
And Facebook definitely fits the bill when it comes down to facebook.com/Crankworx. Stay up to date and give him a like, that's for sure. All right, let's get back to racing action. The next matchup, Barry Nobles and Greg Watts. And Nobles has been working on those tricks. He's got a bum. What is it? Is it right hand that's messed up?
I think it's the hand. That's what I was hearing. You can see him stretching it out on the grip right now, so I'm going to say it's probably that right hand. But look at Barry Nobles running the actual gyro cable detangler for bar spins and tail ups. So who knows what he's going to throw out here. Greg Watts, backflip suicide no-hander, a backflip Superman for Barry Nobles. Landing, keeping those feet on the pedals, out in the lead right now, trying to make up that disadvantage. Barry Nobles looking super on point.
So we'll see how we come down to the last jump between these two guys right here.
Barry needs something big on this last jump. A backflip tail whip.
No!
Wow.
And he has to press the eject button. He just whipped that thing around right there. Barry Nobles gets across the line, so he takes the winner of speed, but he knew he needed something big for a former Red Bull Joyride winner.
Man, it gives you goosebumps watching these riders push themselves outside of what you'd expect from them. We saw that gyro detangler mounted on Barry Nobles' bike, thinking, wow, is he going to do some sort of bar spin or tail whip variation? And there you had it on that last jump, just a little bit too hot.
It's a bummer that he's got that injured paw right there, because I got to think that Barry Nobles, without being injured right there, is going to give more a run for the show on that one. So helmet off. Let's take another look here. Jump number one.
Nice, a backflip combination for each rider there, and then it was all about this backflip tail up on the last jump. Going halfway down the landing and way over-rotated. The trick itself was perfect, but just a little bit too hot. And that's what's tough about speed and style, doing a trick that's difficult for you at race speed.
All right, let's check in with Hannah down with our dudes right there. Hannah, what's going on?
Thank you very much, guys. Well, I'm going to start with you, Barry. Talk to me about that finish right there on that second jump. What happened?
Well, both those tricks are two tricks I've been working on that I've never really taken them to dirt good. So I wanted to bring him out in Rotorua when I actually need to. I didn't get to that point. And going against Greg, he's one of the most heavy hitters out here, so had to bring it out.
You've been so vocal about zeroing in on the Crankworx World Tour this year. How focused are you going into the competitions and the rest of Leger this week?
All of them. I mean, speed and style is just like a passion since I was a kid, or just the freestyle side. And pump track is kind of comes natural. So those are the important ones for me, but I still get out there and get that feeling where I want to land tricks for myself. So now I'm out, but I'm stoked for myself. So.
Well, best in luck tomorrow in pump track. And now, Greg, you are advancing. How do you feel coming into the competition here today?
Pretty good, but boy, Barry really scared me on that one. He was like a bit ahead of me, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. And I'm glad he's all right, but he almost made me crash too, just like looking at it. So what was your question, though? I don't know.
How are you feeling? But let's go to a different one. What's your strategy? We talk about the strategy here with dual speed and style. Are you changing up your strategy based on the guy that you're next to?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm next to a racer, I might just throw an extra bar spin in a trick and then just try to hang on his rear wheel. But it all depends. Like, if I think I'm going to be in front of him, I might lay up on the trick a little bit just to make sure I land it. So it all depends. But in the finals is just going to be all out both. So.
Well, I'm glad you heard that question. Best of luck in the rest of the competition.
Nicely done. A former Red Bull Joyride winner right there, Greg Watts. I think taking back to 2006, I think it was
9.
He took that win. Now taking it back to these guys right here, Adrien Lerone. Boy, he is 100% focused. Currently second place in the King of Crankworx standing, and he wants that more than anything, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, 2 racers in the gate right now, one with more tricks than the other, Adrien Lerone being that guy with more tricks. But Thomas Slavic, like we said in the first run, going for that trail bike. He looks faster than ever out here, so this is going to be a tight matchup.
Oh, look at the jump that Slavic gets there.
Now, Adrien Lerone with that nice 360 had to come into that jump a little bit slower to be able to do that 360. The speed that Slavic's able to take into these ramps, because he knows he's not going to be tricking, is impressive. But think back to how Bernard Kerr got docked for not tricking. Will we see that again here? Adrien Lerone, backflip.
And .03 the difference. Adrien Lerone winning in speed on that one.
But just barely.
That's .03 the difference between those two guys. But I mean, it's going to come down to this because that was so close. But their other matchup, their first time they went at each other, Adrien Lerone.
I think Slavic toned it back a little bit too much on that one. He needed to go way faster, knowing that Adrien Lerone had those 2 tricks.
Well, we'll take a look at it right now because this is going to mean it all right now.
Well, that toboggan playing a little bit of defense, starting to pedal Thomas Slavic before he even landed, but no trick on that last jump for Slavic, and -30 for his efforts.
Boy, that one hurts right there. So that means Adrien Lerone has done it, and he has made up the difference, and he will be advancing on. Well, things are shaping up nice right there. Thomas Slavic, he is our reigning King of Crankworx for 2016, but wonder how that looks for Adrien Lerone at this point. Oh, ask and you shall receive. Matt Walker in that top spot still, but look at Adrien Lerone climbing up that leaderboard, Cam.
And Thomas Slavic currently sitting in 3rd, so Adrien Lerone knocking him out early in this speed and style definitely is going to bode well for his point score, going for that King of Crankworx 2017 title.
The return of Martin Soderstrom, the last race in the round of 16 before we go to the quarters. He's got the leader, 1.34. Bass is going to need some tricks right here, right now, Cam McCall.
Yeah, you know, he's got an airbag in his backyard. He's got a mulch jump. So basically what he doesn't have is an excuse to not have a trick right now. A toboggan for Bas van Steenbergen. He's going to need a hefty lead because Martin Soderstrom is coming out swinging with the tricks. All right, through the middle section of the course, through these slalom gates now. Will Bas van Steenbergen do a trick, or is he? Yeah, he's got that toboggan, so trying to avoid that -30 we've been seeing other riders get, blowing out the tire. Martin going deep on that 360.
Yeah, blowing out the tire on the last one. Luckily that happened on the last jump and not on the first jump for Martin Soderstrom right there.
Yeah, if it's going to happen during a race run, that's the only spot you want it to happen.
Still able to get across that line fast, and I mean, it's just a formality at this point, but Martin Soderstrom should be the one moving on.
Everything went fine for him. So what will happen now? Will he continue or
looking at him right there?
Looking forward to some replays here. I was paying so much attention to seeing if Bas van Steenbergen was going to do a trick on that first jump. I didn't notice what Martin did. I think it was a single tail up. It was. So reeling her back from the first run.
50 opposed to 0.
But huge amplitude on that 360. He won't get scored down for blowing out his tire. Not really his fault. He just went huge. Basically landing on that chalk line.
And there's the carnage right there. A 50 and a 69 towards a 0 and a 0. So Martin Soderstrom has done it, and he will be moving on. The good news is he's moving on. Bad news is he's got to face Adrien Lerone. So we'll see how that one works. But both of those guys are fast, and we'll see how that goes. There's a look at it right there. There's our quarterfinals right now. Jakob Wenzel, he is set to go against Simon Godziak. Then you got the battle of the Mitches, Mitch Ropolato against Mitch Chuby, USA versus Canada. Darrell Brown, last year's winner, going against Greg Watts, Great Britain versus USA. And Adrien Lerone, the flying Frenchman, going against Martin Soderstrom. That's how it's going to look for the quarterfinals here in Leger. For your speed and style here at Crankworx, Brad Shea and Cam McCall up in the booth. And we'll get right in the thick of things. The quarterfinals coming up. Don't go away.
trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by Whistler Mountain Bike Park. Love the feeling of being truly awake. Well, we're back into the thick of things now. We've moved from our round of 16 to the quarterfinals. Cam McCall and Brad Shea here, and we'll take a look at the brackets. And now that we got our matchups for the quarterfinals, Cam, things are going to get a little bit interesting here, aren't they?
Oh, heck yeah. This is where it gets exciting. Only 8 riders left in this race. And guys like Jakob Wenzel, the guy who won it in Rotorua, guys like Mitch Ropalato, the guy who got 3rd in Rotorua, still in the game here. So you're seeing some consistent players.
Well, talking about a consistent player, Jakob Wenzel, he has been so consistent all the way from Rotorua to out here today. It seems like he has not missed a point at all.
Check out what tricks he's been using right now. So he started out with that 360 tuck no-hander, similar to what we saw in Rotorua, got him the win. And then now kind of adapting a little bit, like we were talking about earlier, realizing that he had the huge advantage over Hannes Slavik and going a little bit more mellow in that second run. So definitely pacing himself.
You know, and no, not taking anything away from Hannes Slavik, but I mean, that was the first time we've seen him racing in speed and style out here. So I think that he's kind of overmatched going against Jakob.
Well, just to get in the round of top 16 is a tough feat in itself. So big ups to Hannes Slavik for making it in there against a guy like Jakob Wenzel.
Hey, Godziak has tricks, so this will be very interesting. Is Godziak fast enough to stay with Jakob here?
Godziak is quick. He does have a ton of tricks, going for that backflip tuck no-hander. In the lead right now, but with dual slalom format, you've got inside berms and outside berms, so that really evens out once you switch sides. But neck and neck here in the middle section of the course with those slalom gates. A backflip bar spin for Simon Godziak, and it looked like a backflip double X-up for Jakob.
Interesting now, 0.33, winner of speed, Godziak. We haven't seen Simon Godziak compete in speed and style in a while, so this is the first time we got a chance to see him do his thing, and when he's going against the winner from Rotorua, this is a good matchup to see right here.
It's going to be tough to judge as well, especially on that last jump. You've got a backflip double X-up, a very unique combo with 3 tricks, and then a backflip bar spin, a trick that maybe has more consequence because you're letting go of the bars at one point, guiding them all the way around. So what are the judges going to do? What are the judges going to do with this?
Well, let's take another look, see if we can dissect it.
So 360 tuck no-hander versus the backflip tuck no-hander. Bigger score going to Jakob Wenzel on the first jump.
And bigger score going in for him on the second jump too, a 75 versus the 70, but that's very close. The leader, Simon Godziak, by 0.10 over Rotorua's champ, Jakob Wenzel right there. Now Jakob's gonna have to reach down deep and pull something out gnarly, but Simon could match it too as well. Well, I'm ready to watch these guys go at it again.
Oh, that's a good matchup for sure, but check this out. Speaking of matchups, like you said before, Mitch versus Mitch.
The battle of the Mitches here. Mitch Chubby, heavy slopestyle rider for so many years, has made the transition into, of course, speed and style and into pump track. Mitch Ropolato, he is on the left. Chewbacca on the right. Here we go. First matchup of the quarterfinals of these two guys.
Dual speed and style, a great event for riders transitioning out of the slopestyle world. Mitch Chubby right there using a trick that we used to see from him in slopestyle, a backflip bar spin, and he's actually pulling away from the racer, Mitch Ropolato, right now. Chubby turning up the heat.
Look at this. Look at this, down to the end.
Backflip tail for Mitch Chubby. Can he land it? He does. Mitch Ropolato barely crossing the finish line first, only by 0.04.
Oh, man, that is close right there.
What a save for Mitch Chubby. Definitely looking forward to the replay on that one.
I think even if Chubby went down on that, he'd still cross the line. I mean, good thing that he saved it at the end, but now it's going to come down to the comparison now when it goes to the judges, because that's almost just an even matchup on speed between those guys at the end.
Well, you could see Mitch coming into that last jump. He let up a little bit, knowing that he needed to hit the jump at the perfect speed to do such a technical combo like a backflip tail up. Looked like he maybe checked up a little bit too much, almost came up short.
We'll take a look at some of the replays between the battle of the Mitches here. Here we go, first jump.
So exactly what we were expecting, a 360 out of Mitch Ropolato, a backflip bar spin for Mitch Chubby. This last jump right here, you know, it looks smoother in that replay in slow motion. Definitely close to a crash for Mitch, but he's rewarded for that backflip tail up with a 73.
As well he should be, a 70 and a 73 versus a 45 and a 45. 0.57 the difference. Mitch Chubby will have the advantage when the battle of Mitches continue in the quarterfinals when they go back at it again. So you got to think, will Ropolato be forced to try and bring out the front flip that he did out there in Rotorua?
When you're on a stock trail bike, there are some limitations as to what tricks you can do. So, you know, Mitch, a guy who isn't known for his tricks, but he is also limited by the bike. We're not going to be seeing tail whips out of him on that bike.
Daryl Brown now on the left, Greg Watts on the right. Here we go, Daryl Brown, the winner from Leger last year.
Daryl Brown making it to that jump first with a 360 tuck no-hander against Greg Watts' backflip bar spin. Greg sneaking into the lead now in the middle section of the course. Two guys with speed and a lot of tricks. Excited to see what they're going to have on this last jump.
Down to the final jump.
Daryl Brown, backflip tuck no-hander. It looked like either a backflip double bar spin or a backflip bar spin to bar spin back for Greg Watts. We'll have to consult the replay on that one.
But 0.08 the difference between these guys, so almost completely even between Watts and Brown. And Daryl Brown, remember, it was a rainy conditions, muddy conditions last year when Daryl Brown got his first speed and style win out here in Leger. Greg Watts has been a fixture on the Crankworx Tour for some time now. Talked about him winning the Red Bull Joyride back in, I think, 2006.
2009, yeah.
Was it 9?
2009, Greg won slopestyle in Whistler, but definitely raced dual slalom as a kid. I remember going to some races with him. So taking everything he's learned during his life on a bike and applying it right here to dual speed and style. Let's take a look back at this replay. Daryl Brown, 360 tuck no-hander. Greg Watts, a backflip bar spin. Here it is, a backflip bar spin to bar spin back for Greg Watts against that extended flip tuck no-hander for Daryl Brown. A 90 for that backflip bar to bar back for Greg Watts.
I gotta think. Oh, look at this. Daryl Brown with the lead by 0.02. 0.02. That is absolutely ridiculous right there. Let's check in with Hannah Bernard, who's down in the mix right now. Hannah.
All right, guys, I'm here with the guy that won this last year, Daryl Brown. Now, we've been talking about the conditions last year here in this event. It favored you being from Great Britain. How do you feel about the conditions in the race here today?
Well, the track's totally different this year. It's so much more faster, and you know, it's pretty high consequences actually. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just crazy. It's, you know, it's pretty hard work.
A very minimal differentiation between you and Greg Watts. What are you going to dig from in order to take the win in the second run?
Well, first run I was on rider's right, which is the slower line. So I've got the advantage going in the left line. So we just have to see, you know, it's so hard to know how hard to push because you push too hard and you go down, you don't push enough and you don't move on. So, you know, there's a lot of variables in speed and style, so just got to have fun and go for it.
All right, well, you won this event here in Leger last year. Tell us, do you want another gold, Daryl?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. Bit of redemption in Bright Rural. I had a nasty crash, so yeah, redemption here, so I'm going to go for it.
All right, well, best of luck. Thanks so much, Dale.
You know, and that's a good point. Comparing the courses, they're completely different courses. The weather's completely different, so it's just like a complete clean slate this year. Taking a look at the brackets right there, Simon Godziak, he has the advantage over Rotorua champ Jakob Wenzel. Then you got the Battle of the Mitches. That was close too, but Chubby having the advantage on that one. Oh man, I've been waiting for this one. Adrian Larone's going to be coming up for you. There's a look at him. He's getting the... You know, we talked to him earlier and kind of about competing out here on home soil, and this is what Adrian Larone had to say about that. Check it out.
It's always good to compete in your place, because even if it's 3 hours from my place, all my family is coming, watching, all my friends. It's, I would say it's a good support, and at the same time it could be very stressful, because it's different when they are behind the screen. You know they are watching you, but they are not close to you. And in France I have to take care of my stress and their stress. So it's something hard to do, but at the same time it's very such a good feeling to compete in front of your family and your friends.
I'll tell you what, though, when you're going against Martin Soderstrom, you don't want to have any mistakes, because not only is Martin Soderstrom fast, he's got a lot of tricks, Cam.
A ton of tricks, and definitely great to see him at such a high level right now after battling back from so many injuries. The big Swede is back, Brad J.
The big Swede, and there he is on the right-hand side. Adrian Larone, he is on the left. Here we go, their first matchup here in the quarterfinals for your dual speed and style.
Will we see that double tail up off the first jump for Martin Soderstrom right now? Going up against Adrian Larone, it'd be a good time to pull it out.
Well, we'll find out. Adrian Larone with the snap out of the gate.
That double tail for Martin, straight to pedals, classic Soderstrom style. That's the beauty of speed and style here. You got to do a technical trick, get your feet back on the pedals so you can sprint into the next section. Martin leading right now. We got a little insight that the left side is the faster side. 360 table for Martin, a backflip for Adrian Larone.
So 0.58 the difference. Martin Soderstrom taking it with speed. And I got to think when it comes down to degree of difficulty for the tricks, I got to think Martin's going to take this one and have the advantage over their second matchup.
I think 0.58 is a comfortable space between those two riders, for Martin anyways, having those big tricks.
Yeah, if you have the tricks, that's a good comfortable space. If you don't have the tricks, then that's not a very comfortable space.
It's definitely borderline, though. I feel like those tricks are going to score high enough to make up for 0.58. We're about to find out.
Well, taking a look, here's number one.
Watch him put those feet right back on the pedals, ready to start sprinting. That's what's so tough out here. Doing the trick is one thing, but keeping that bike in line, on course, carrying momentum.
60 and a 40 for Larone, a 90 and a 70 for Martin. And since he had the speed, he has the tricks too as well, and he is the leader. So Adrian Larone is going to have to reach down deep and come up with something big facing the big Swede. And there's the brackets right now. Simon Godziak, he's doing his thing. The silent assassin right there, taking care of Jakob on the first matchup. Mitch Chubby taking care of Ropalato. Daryl Brown taking the advantage over Watts on their first matchup. And Martin Soderstrom taking the advantage over Adrian Larone on their first matchup, Cam.
We got these guys back up to the top, opposite sides of the course now, switching things up. We heard from Daryl Brown that the rider's right course is considered the slow course. So Jakob Wenzel right now sitting on that faster side of the course, got to make up a 0.10.
It's not a lot. So these guys are very evenly matched. Here we go in the gate. Racers are back on it. Here we go, first jumps.
All right, same tricks for these guys. A flip tuck no-hander for Simon Godziak, a 360 no-hander for Jakob Wenzel. Jakob now on the faster course, trying to make up that .10.
Oh, it comes across, that's it.
Simon Godziak misses a gate, and in this type of gated racing, that means a disqualification.
An unfortunate turn of events right there with that one for Simon Godziak, who had the advantage after the first one. We'll see if we can find out what went wrong on that one between those two riders on it. We'll take it back up top here and take a look at that again. Jakob Wenzel, though, just a matter of time. That means he's moving on. So could he come away and get a second win and back-to-back on the Crankworx World Tour?
Nobody wants to advance out of a round under those circumstances, but I guess when it's competition, you take it any way you can get it.
You sure do, because it means a lot towards that battle for King of Crankworx.
Simon Godziak, knowing that he's on the slower course, absolutely pulling out all the stops, but pushing it a little bit too hard. You saw him lose a little bit of traction with the rear wheel there, hinting that he's keeping it loose, and this is where he goes off the course. Crossing over into Jakob's lane, you miss just one of those gates, and the race is over for you. I don't think Jakob realized he had a mistake
I don't think
going
so
on
either.
behind him until he crossed the finish line.
So where's he at? Yeah, Jakob was keeping his game face all the way through that one.
You can make some noise for both riders.
So taking it right there, the score is going to be this. They even out on that jump number one, but a -30 obviously for that. And that means Jakob Wenzel has done it, and he is going to be moving on to the semifinals. And who's he going to face in the semifinals? Well,
some kind of Mitch, right?
Yeah, I guarantee he's going to face someone named Mitch. One thing I'll guarantee, Mitch Ropolato there on the right. And then there's Mitch Chubey on the left.
Chubey doing it with tricks in run one. Similar plan here for both of these guys. A backflip bar spin for Chubey, a flat spin 360 for Mitch Ropolato. Chubey on the slow side now. So no surprises that he's back a little bit. But will he try?
Yeah,
that backflip tail up, almost going over the berm.
What's Mitch going to do here?
All right, here's what it comes down to. A backflip tail up. Can he get the pedals? Well, crossing the finish line, a little bit of a bobble, but doesn't seem to have slowed him down at all.
So
2.32 difference between these guys.
Ooh, winner of speed. Obviously, that's going to go to Ropolato right there. It looks like Chubey's a little shaken up right there.
Yeah, sometimes when you miss those pedals, that bike runs over your ankle. Definitely stings a little, so Chubey walking it off.
That might have been the thing that changes things up here. That could mean Mitch Ropolato moving on. Is it going to be Chubey? Is it going to be Ropolato? Take a look here.
Now, it's got to be so much more tiring to do a lap through this course here, doing tricks that are as difficult as the ones that Mitch Chubey has chosen. A backflip tail whip. Let's take a look at his ankle. We saw him limping a little bit. Let's see.
Here's the look.
Catches the pedals, foot blows off.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely stuffing that toe into the ground.
And 1.29 the difference between these two guys, and great racing out of Mitch Chubey, but Mitch Ropolato is moving to the semifinals, and he's going against Jakob Wenzel. So that one is set for our semifinal matchup. And now we head back up top for Greg Watts and Daryl Brown. 0.02, man, this one is close.
Doesn't get much tighter than that.
Daryl Brown there on the right, Watts over there on the left.
Gap of 0.02 of a second. Greg Watts on the slower course right now, but doing that backflip bar spin. That 360 tuck no-hander has been scoring so high for Daryl Brown. They gave him a 90 or an 85 for it in the last run. So tough to beat that right there. But Greg has a lot more to choose from for this last jump. What's it gonna be?
He's got to keep it close. He's doing just that.
A backflip tail whip for Greg Watts.
Oh, and then 0.57 the difference on the speed for Daryl Brown. So 5.7 plus the 0.2, so 0.59 the difference when it comes down to it. And now it comes down to the jumps, Ken.
Greg kept it really close, and he had that backflip tail whip. Pretty much deja vu from the run prior, where we saw Mitch Chubey do that trick and blow a foot off the pedal slightly. But Greg was definitely closer to Daryl here. and only 0.02 separating the two from round one.
Yeah, 0.57 on that one, 0.02 on their first matchup. But once you bring the jumps into it, this basically all falls into the judges' hands now, doesn't it, Cam?
Yeah, these guys did exactly what they needed to do. Daryl Brown sticking with the tricks that he knows and loves, the ones that got him the win out here last year. But Greg Watts, knowing he needed to dig a little bit deeper, going for that backflip tail whip. There's the scores, Brad.
0.77. Greg Watts has been dispatched, and that means Great Britain's Daryl Brown, the winner of Leger last year in our dual speed and style, is moving on to the semifinals. Let's check in with Hannah Bernard, who's standing by with more. Hannah?
Much about the physical side of this sport, but something that's not always talked about is the mental side of it. And a guy that is really battling through the mental side of things is this guy, Martin Soderstrom. Now, I had a chance to catch up with him before the competition here today. He said that it was more of a mental game for him to really stay focused and take that pressure off of himself to really throw down the tricks. But look at him go. He is going up against Adrien Laurent. He has the advantage. He is throwing down huge tricks here in the competition here today, so we'll have to see how he does in the second one right now.
Oh, thank you so much, Hannah, with that one. Good stuff from Hannah Bernard down there in the mix. But Daryl Brown's going to be facing one of these guys, Martin Soderstrom. You see his name is in yellow. That means he has the advantage of their first matchup over Adrien Laurent. And we haven't seen Martin in speed and style in a while. But you know what? This guy can win. He's done it before, Cam.
A win out here for Martin Soderstrom would be so huge for his confidence. It's really tough, like Hannah was saying, to get back on the bike after injury, you know, repeated injuries. So Martin Soderstrom looking stronger than ever right now with that double tail up, missing a foot. Yeah. As long as he gets that thing back on quick, it looks like he did. He recovered. He's on that right-hand side, which we've been hearing is the slower line right now. And hopefully that ankle's feeling all right. Looks like he's sprinting, doing all right. Martin Soderstrom right next to Adrien Laurent, a 360 flat spin for Martin, landing on the finish line and actually winning the speed by 0.13.
Taking it to the air right there. Laurent visibly shaking up on that one, taking a knee.
These guys are coming into that last jump so incredibly fast. You would never see people landing so far down on that jump if it was just in the middle of a slope-style course. It's because they're racing at top speed through those slalom gates. That is the epitome of speed and style right there.
Well, remember now, Martin Soderstrom has won this event, and he's won it 2 different times. There's not many members of the 2-time winner club when it comes to speed and style. Look at the replays here, Cam.
So here's that double tail whip. Wow, losing that left foot, but being such an experienced rider, he kind of used his right foot to take all the impact. And speaking of impact, look how far down Martin lands.
Whoa.
Wow, that foot blows off again, but holding it together and actually, there we go, advancing into the next round, Brad.
Yeah, you knew that was coming right there. So that's going to do it for Adrien Laurent. He is done on that one, so he is not going to be able to get up on the top of the podium on this one. And Martin Soderstrom, a member of the 2-win club when it comes to speed and style. But let's take a look at the brackets right now. Your semifinals are set right there. Jakob Wenzel against Mitch Ropolato. Daryl Brown versus Martin Soderstrom. Martin's won it twice. Daryl Brown's won it before. Jakob Wenzel has won it. So these guys know what it takes to win, man.
Mitch is the only guy out here in this Final Four who hasn't won one.
Who does not have a win out here. You're right. Well, it is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Leger, and we have got it all set for the semifinals are coming up. That's right. Daryl Brown versus Martin Soderstrom, Jakob Wenzel versus Mitch Ropolato. It's the semifinals coming up right after this.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Crankworx Leger, brought to you by SRAM. The power of bicycles, SRAM. And here we are in Leger, France here. First day of our broadcast for your dual speed and style. Cam McCall, Brad J on the mic. Crowd starting to show up. Well, where are we on the world? Can you point us out? Oh, there's the world map, Cam.
Look at that, there's the world. Let's zoom it right into exactly where we are. High up, French Alps. I see you, Brad, right there.
I'm waving at you.
Right there at the bottom of the course.
Cam, what about this place?
Well, they call it the biggest MTB playground in Europe. This place has 90 kilometers of trails, 3 mountain bike dedicated lifts, and of course it's part of the famous Porte du Soleil region. This is the spot if you want to just tackle tons of gravity-fed trails.
Well, speaking of gravity, these guys are going to take the gravity on here in your dual speed and style now. The semifinals are set, and we go back up top here to start things off, and that's Jakob Wenzel. He won it in Rotorua a couple months ago, and there's Mitch Ropolato. He has not won speed and style. He's won pump track a ton of times, but could this be the one? Well, here we go. Mitch Ropolato, Jakob Wenzel, first matchup.
Look at the difference in these bikes, man. That bike underneath Mitch Ropolato just optimized for speed, performance, efficiency. But then you got Jakob Wenzel on his bike with the little tiny tires and the long cables for the tricks and hanging tight to Mitch Ropolato on the slower side of the course, of course. A horse is a horse. Ooh, a variation for Mitch Ropolato. A 360 one-footed Euro. That's exactly what Mitch Ropolato needs to be doing right now to battle things like that backflip triple X up that Jakob just
triple X up. There's a lot going on with that.
The way the judges have been scoring, they've been scoring more is more. So as many tricks as you can pack into those rotations, they've been rewarding them.
Cam, is more better?
Mo better.
Mo better. You can see it. Ropolato visibly winded after that. Dude out of Ogden, Utah.
I am super down with that 360 one-footer that Mitch did. And we were talking about it a little bit. You know, is that 360 going to be enough? Is he going to have to do that front flip that he did in New Zealand? But adding a variation to the 360 definitely won't hurt.
Well, let's take a look.
360 tuck no-hander as expected from Jakob Wenzel. The 360 from Mitch. You know, Mitch spinning toward his front foot, which is considered wrong. But there's nothing wrong about that because you can drop that front foot. It's easier to do one-footed variations with that front foot.
Couple of 85s for Jakob, a couple of 65s for Mitch Ropolato, but the speed has helped him out on that one. So Mitch Ropolato takes the lead on that one, 0.63 the difference. And once again, remember, folks, Mitch Ropolato has never won a dual speed and style at Crankworx, but Jakob has because he won it out there in Rotorua. And our next two guys, both of them have won it before. Martin Soderstrom has won it twice, and Daryl Brown was the winner last year here in Leger. Speaking of Daryl Brown, there he is, locked and loaded there on the left from Great Britain. The big Swede, Martin Soderstrom, on the right from Sweden. Here we go, first matchup in the semis.
This will be a good one. Both these guys running the hardtails, coming from the jump background. The double tail for Martin Soderstrom. Gonna have to look at the replay to see if Daryl got his hands off on that 360. Definitely tough to do the same difficult trick over and over and over again in this bracketed format. Martin on the faster track right now. Coming into this finish line jump, head to head, neck and neck. 360 table for Martin.
Oh, look at that.
No-hander for Daryl.
Winner of speed, both of them. Wait a minute, that can't be right.
Was it a tie?
I think it was really close.
Well, they're hugging, so they both feel good about it.
They're hugging it out.
I can't wait to see what the actual time was.
So Daryl Brown, he's won it last year. Martin Soderstrom has won it twice since the inception of speed and style at Crankworx back in 2012.
The judges will have to give points for the tricks now.
And at that time, he was competing in slopestyle as well, so
yeah,
you don't see a lot of riders doing both. Most of the slope guys focusing purely on slope. Okay, Daryl did get that 360 no-hander, so consistent with that trick.
80 to 90. 70 to 70.
They've been scoring Daryl higher for that 360 no-hander in earlier rounds, but Martin getting that 90 as they have been scoring him. Ooh, tight, Brad.
Are you kidding me? Martin Soderstrom will take the advantage by 0.06, just 0.06 the difference between these two guys as they go up and do it all over again.
Well, I think Martin was on the fast course that time. So it's going to be tough for him. He's got a tiny advantage. He's going to go on the slow course next.
What do we got here?
Oh, none other than slopestyle Sunday.
Yep, slopestyle Sunday. There's a look at some of our jumps, keeping them nice and dry. We had some rain last night, but I'll tell you what, that is something you don't want to miss. Join us back here for the broadcast. You can do that on Sunday. Go to crankworx.com for all the times. Check your listings and all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, you definitely don't want to miss out on slopestyle Sunday. Here's how the brackets are going for your semifinals. Mitch Ropolato, he has the advantage over the winner from Rotorua. Mitch Ropolato, remember, he's never won this before. Then you got Daryl Brown. Well, he's got some work cut out for him. It's pretty darn close between those two dudes, but Martin Soderstrom has the advantage, Cam.
Yeah, and like you said before, Mitch Ropolato, the only guy left in this field of competitors right now who hasn't won one of these events, so he's got his eye on the prize.
Let's see if we can look at run number 1, if we can get a chance here of Jakob Wenzel and Mitch Ropolato, with Ropolato getting the advantage on this one.
So exactly what we were expecting out of Jakob Wenzel, that 360 tuck no-hander, but here's where things got shaken up a little bit. Now Jakob doing that huge variation, a flip triple X up. It's so hard to actually watch two tricks at once. Mitch getting that foot off is what I was focusing on, but there was a whole lot of wiggling going on the course next to him.
Yeah.
Jakob doing as many X-ups as humanly possible while backflipping.
Well, like you said, if they hit that jump at the same time, you're trying to track both tricks at the same time, which is not an easy thing to do. If they would hit it opposite each other, about 5 seconds apart, and be much easier to call.
It's got to be tough for the riders too, having somebody right alongside you mid-air doing a trick where, you know, bars and rear wheels are flying everywhere. We saw that clip from the preliminaries where Kyle Straight actually ran into his competitor. Definitely adds a whole new degree of difficulty riding that close to somebody else.
And I think you had said that when we talked about it earlier. You said that could be some contact in that very zone, and we saw that true to form, exactly what happened right there. So our riders are getting back up top to get ready to go. So you look at Jakob Wenzel, he's got his work to come up. We're trying to take Ropolato down, but let's check in with Hannah Bernard, who's downstairs in the mix. Hannah, what's going on?
Hey, thank you very much, guys. Well, something that we always talk about in slopestyle is the controversy around judging and whether landing those tricks are going to give you deductions. Now, in slopestyle, we see that. If you don't land that jump clean, you're going to get deducted. But it's a conversation that filters over into dual speed and style as well. Now, if those guys that are tricking these jumps don't land it clean, they're going to be behind in timing. So do you deduct them? I got a chance to talk to Paul Rack, Jeff Gulovich, some of the judges out here today. They said they're taking the same format from slopestyle into this contest here today. It doesn't matter. You have to land those jumps cleanly, so that's something to look out for coming into the finals here today.
Well, thank you, Hannah. So the judges, Paul Rack and company, are doing it in a big way. Gulovich and them up there, they're saying you got to land them. You got to stick your landings like in slopestyle.
They're being tough on these guys, man.
They're so judgmental. That's what I tell you about them judges. So Jakob Wenzel, 0.63 to make up. Now he's got to adjust his game plan here. Mitch Ropolato is fast. Can Jakob make up the difference, keep it nice and close, and then beat him on tricks? We're going to find out.
Less than a second behind. He's on the fast course, so it's definitely attainable. 361 footer for Mitch Ropolato, that 360 tuck no-hander, which will score higher for Jakob Wenzel. He's in the lead right now on this rider's left course. All right, I'm going to pay close attention to the trick from Jakob Wenzel right now, because this is where he pulls out all the stops. Backflip, double X up. Oh, Mitch.
Well, we are just going to give him all the time that he needs. Mitch Ropolato going down hard on that one. But he is standing. He's definitely shaken up out there off that one.
Whoa.
So Mitch Ropolato kind of laying down right there, and Jakob Wenzel was quick to get over to him, Cam, after that one.
Front flip, always a very high consequence trick.
Yeah, well, we'll give all the riders all the time that they need, and definitely Mitch Ropolato on that one. That's a tough one right there. This is where you guys also, people watching at home here, send out your positive thoughts out there for Mitch Ropolato. We want to wish him the best on this one and hope he's okay. Let's take a look at the brackets right now on how things are looking here in our semifinals. So Mitch Ropolato, who had the advantage going into that second matchup. We haven't seen the results out of that one, but I got to think it's going to be Jakob Wenzel that's going to be moving into the finals. And then Daryl Brown, he's got some work to cut out for him, but not much. I think that was only .02 between those guys, Martin Soderstrom. So Daryl Brown and Martin Soderstrom are getting back up in there to get ready to go.
Well, definitely hoping the best for Mitch right there. Let's take a look back and see.
Maybe we can see what went wrong. Maybe it was just an over-rotation situation on him.
So looking good, using that trick, the 361 footer that he used on the last jump, the run prior, putting that on the first jump. And you know, we didn't think he was going to try that front flip.
It said no to it all day, that he wasn't going to do it.
But it served him so well in New Zealand, he decided to go for it. Coming into this jump so fast, it's going to be hard not to over-rotate. Gets way too much snap off the lip, goes too far, and his rear wheel never touched the ground. His body basically hit first. But Mitch, wow, what a really tough kid. And we got some fantastic medical personnel. Look, he's up, walking around coherent.
Tough as nails. Man, they grow him tough out there in Ogden. Man. I cannot believe he is able to walk away with that digger right there that he took.
Good to see. That front flip is so high consequence, but Mitch, what a badass going for that. And that last jump, man, so much speed coming into that thing.
That's what you said just kind of rings with me a little bit on that one. So much speed to try and slow it down and get the rotation perfect on a front flip. That's pretty hard to do, as you can see right there. So wishing him the best. Good to see him up and around, but we'll take it back up top next up. We got Daryl Brown. Let's see if we can take a look at the matchup between Martin Soderstrom and Daryl Brown. Boy, was this one close.
So Martin Soderstrom has been throwing that double tail whip, landing it perfect against Daryl Brown in this run. Daryl Brown, very predictable on his tricks. You pretty much know what you're going to get when you're going up against him. And Martin Soderstrom has been flipping between that single tail up and the double tail up on the first jump. And then he's been going for that 360 table on this last jump. Both riders sticking to the same tricks, so it's coming down to a race with these guys as long as they're able to land those tricks.
So now we go back up top. Here we go. Daryl Brown, he's on the right. .02, the difference between these guys. Big Swede, Martin Soderstrom, he's on the left there with that Red Bull helmet. So can he do it right here? Two-time winner. There's only a couple guys who have done it in speed and style twice, and Martin is one of them. .06, excuse me. That's the difference between these guys.
The tiniest of advantage for Martin, and now he's on the slow course, so he has his work cut out for him. Martin gets the double tail up against Daryl Brown's 360 tuck no-hander. Daryl right now with a sizable lead into that right-hand berm. But Martin looks to be catching up a little bit into these slalom gates. Martin right on his tail on the slower course with that .06 advantage, slowing down before the last jump. A 360 tail whip for Martin Soderstrom, straight to the pedals. Judges are gonna love it.
Oh, wow, but .63. Daryl Brown off the back end of that one. These guys are spent right now.
Watching Martin Soderstrom come into that last jump, being a guy with so much experience in this discipline, slowing down. We saw that mistake from Mitch Ropolato coming into that jump too fast. Martin drug brake into that thing in order to get that technical combo, the 360 tail whip.
And it's hard to tell yourself to slow down because the race counts too as well. So you're trying to beat them on time, but you got to adjust it when it comes to the tricks.
Very counterintuitive. You're racing until you get to the last jump. Then you go, okay, maintain composure, slow down, do a 360 tail whip.
And let's take a look here. There's Daryl Brown, Martin Soderstrom here, jump number one.
Exactly what we'd expect.
90 to an 80.
And then Martin surprising us with that 360 tail whip.
A 90 to a 70.
Look at that, getting rewarded with that 90. For both tricks, Martin Soderstrom earned a 90.
And the difference, .22, so Daryl Brown will be the one. Daryl Brown is moving on to the finals. So Daryl Brown, could he do it again just like he did last year?
Daryl Brown just showing that it wasn't a fluke last year. Everybody's saying, well, you're from Great Britain, of course you can ride in the mud. Dry day, making it to the finals.
You know, and that was one of the reasons in Crankworx Fantasy I picked him because of the conditions last year. But here's how it's looking right here. It's going to be Daryl Brown fighting for the gold to go back-to-back golds against Jakob Wenzel. He's trying to go back-to-back golds in just this year alone. Well, it is all set and we are ready to go. We'll come back with the finals, the small final. It is all on the way for you. Stay with us. Crankworx Leger, stop number 2 of your Crankworx World Tour.
We're trying to make a drivetrain that works better. We're trying to improve upon the things that we had done.
Introducing the all-new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. No matter what kind of rider you are or the kind of terrain you might ride, Eagle is simply the best. GX Eagle drivetrains have a range of gears that rival or flat out beat most 2x systems. Engineered in Germany, made for the world. This is GX Eagle.
Leger Bike Park, the best bike park in all of Europe. And back to your small final and your big final here for your Crankworx Dual Speed and Style. Second stop on the Crankworx World Tour here in Leger, France. And here's how it's looking right there. For the small final, that's Mitch Ropolato, who took a heavy crash out there on a front flip. And he's going against Martin Soderstrom, the big Swede, back at it again after injuries. He's back in the mix. Jakob Wenzel, he's going at it, and he's going to be competing against Daryl Brown. The crazy thing about our final is, think about this. Daryl Brown won in Leger last year. Jakob Wenzel won in Rotorua this year. Now, if whoever wins this one is going to be a two-time member of the Dual Speed and Style Club, and Martin Soderstrom, he's already done it twice. Kyle Straight has already done it twice as well. So it's a very small group who's able to win this thing twice. And right now, Jakob Wenzel, Daryl Brown, both in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, both of these guys know what it takes, and I'm sure both of them aren't too happy to be up against somebody who's also won one. So no easy race for either of these guys.
Well, and you look back, I mean, Jakob Wenzel, he just did it so fresh in Rotorua, and he was the #1 qualifier in time-wise.
That's a lot of pressure, knowing that you are the guy to beat because you won the last event, and now you're the guy to beat because you had the fastest qualifying time.
So is that 2 bullseyes on his back, Cam?
Yeah, you know, he's got plenty of bullseyes, but he's also pretty darn good at keeping his head on straight and focusing and playing the strategy card. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing shakes down.
Well, let's send it down to Hannah and see if we can get a report on Mitch Ropolato. Robolato. Hannah, what's going on?
Hey, thank you very much, guys. Yes, want to give an update on Mitch Robolato. Obviously, it's something that we never like to see in the competition, but he took a pretty hard fall, so he won't be going into the second run against Jakob Wenzel. He is in concussion protocol right now, as we saw. Wind completely knocked out of him and took him quite a while to get that breath back, so he will be out for the rest of this competition, and Jakob Wenzel will be going into the final. Guys?
Look at this crash right here.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Yeah, that's what happened to him right there. So no matter what, Martin Soderstrom is going to come away with the bronze medal. The return to the podium for the Big Swede. That's a feel-good story. You know he wanted to win it. He's very happy with the new format. Talked to him about it earlier today, and that made him want to get out there after watching it in Rotorua. He's like, man, I got to get back into it. Format is right up my alley, and he's going to come away with a bronze medal. And you know, hard-fought battle all the way through.
Yeah, this obviously you want to win your bronze medal by competing in that small final. But hey, you'll take it any way you can get it. And it was such a tough road even to make it to this round here. So big round of applause for Martin Soderstrom here. He gets to cruise into that podium spot in third place.
Well, big congratulations for the Big Swede on that one.
Now he gets a chance just to do it for the crowd here. Huge knack, making eye contact with all those fans sitting in the lawn. Such a showman. Let's see what he has for us down here in this last jump. A goon air on the skipper.
Don't miss a gate, Martin, please.
Big 360 nice. Tuck no-hander. Martin's back, Brad.
He is back. The return of the Big Swede. Look at him bowing to everybody. Yeah, Martin. Stoked, man. Crankworx is such an amazing event, but it's even more amazing with this man competing in it. All right, I think we're going to check back in with Hannah Bernard, standing by with the Big Swede. Hannah?
All right, guys. Well, Martin, I talked to you earlier today, and you said that it was all a mental game, and now you're walking away with the bronze medal. You are back. Tell me how good this feels.
Oh, it feels like a win, I can tell you that. I mean, not really happy yet until I know how Mitch is doing, but yeah, I mean, this was perfect for me. Really good course, really good crowd, and really good riders. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Not much, I don't think. Tell me what this is going to do for your confidence being back on the circuit.
I mean, this is perfect since we have the next Crankworx in Innsbruck next weekend. So, I mean, couldn't have come at a better time.
Well, congratulations. The Big Swede is back, guys. Your bronze medalist here at the Crankworx Leger Dual Speed and Style.
Boy, you couldn't script that better than a Hollywood movie, man. Good to see that guy come back in the mix and get out there. And he's so pumped going to Austria. All right. Well, our final is set up. There's Daryl Brown. Yeah, he did it on a wet track last year. It took the big win. And now he's got to face Jakob Wenzel. Now, Jakob Wenzel did it in Rotorua just 2 months ago.
And like you said, Brad, Jakob Wenzel took the win down in New Zealand, and he's using a similar set of tricks to get into this final here today in Leger. Those backflip combos on the second jump, those 360 combos on the first jump. Such a consistent rider, taking everything he's learned from a career in slopestyle and adding the speed to this dual slalom track.
I'll tell you what, man, he is one talented rider, and not just when it comes to tricks. The guy can race, flat out race too as well, and so can Daryl Brown. So these guys will go at it. Daryl Brown has a chance to catch his breath now. The winner in Leger 2016. The one thing is, whoever wins this matchup is going to be a two-time winner with dual speed and style, and that is a small group of people who have done that. Oh!
With the start, these guys have been doing the same trick on this first jump, and there they are, side by side, 2 360 tuck no-handers. Oh, both of them have been doing that trick on the first jump, and then a backflip combo on the last jump. Are they going to stick to that plan that's put them in the finals, or are we going to see some surprises?
Jakob's going to need to make up some time here with a trick, a bigger trick.
Jakob with that backflip double X up against Daryl Brown's backflip tuck no-hander.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's a 1.05, the difference that Jakob would have to make up. Is that enough on those two tricks? They're mirror images on the first jump, but what are they on the second?
We kind of know what we're going to get in terms of tricks, but it's all about what side of the course you're on. So Daryl was on the faster side that time, crossing the finish line first. They're going to switch it up. Will that play a part in this?
Well, you can see Daryl Brown. He is visibly tired. after this one. Jakob seems like he's kind of cruising.
I know he was so casual to get that win in New Zealand, and very reminiscent of the way he's acting right now. Definitely on track to do it again. All right, we're going to take a look back up to the start. Darrell so excited to snap this gate, pushes on his front pedal a little early before the gate drops, almost lost his balance. If he were to have had to put his foot down there, it definitely would have hurt his time. But both these guys, 360 tuck no-handers. Like we said, Darrell on the faster track, making it to that last jump first. And here's the trick scores, Brad.
An 80 versus 80. We knew that was going to be even, and Darrell Brown is not going to be able to match him on that 75 versus the 70. So is it enough? No. Darrell Brown, the leader, 0.99. So 0.99 going to be the difference right there.
Well, it's interesting watching Jakob's facial expressions right there. He's always a tough one to read. He's back by a bit, but he also gets to ride the faster course this time.
But 0.99. Now, do you think Jakob changes up the first trick so he's doing something a little harder than Darrell Brown?
He almost looked like he was trying to maybe throw something after he caught his handlebars after that 360 no-hander. It looked like maybe he was going for maybe another bar spin or something. That would help out a lot.
Well, we're going to find out because they got to go at it again. Martin Soderstrom's already secured the bronze medal. Mitch Ropolato in 4th place. But I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Join us Saturday. If you want to be part of the Crankworx downhill, this is our times. We're going to get things started here, presented by IXS, Pacific Standard Time at 6:30 in the morning. And it is a packed field. Some of the heavy hitters, Menard, Vergier in there. You got Tracy Hanna on the ladies' side trying to do Morgan Schar. So, I mean, heavy hitters coming straight out of World Cups, coming right over here to compete and doing our thing. You got, you know, Caroline Buchanan, who's got the lead for the Queen of Crankworx, going against Jill Kittner, who's the defending Queen of Crankworx. So, dude, you can't, that's amazing right there, just the matchups that we have alone for downhill coming up on Saturday.
Well, the top riders in every discipline and top-notch courses for every discipline. That downhill course, definitely tune in on Saturday because that's a world-class track.
And it's going to operate a little differently this year than it did last year. That was the mud bowl of any mud bowls that I've ever seen in any competitions coming at Crankworx. But this year, completely different story. And the weather, I don't want to jinx anything.
I was going to say, you never know.
I'm going to knock on wood. But Saturday and Sunday look to be good weather. They're showing sun. I just looked at it a little while ago. So, you know, the races are ready to go. So we'll see what they can do coming up on Saturday and slopestyle on Sunday. Yeah, Cam, are you doing good on fantasy? What's going on, man? You kind of not let the cat out of the bag on that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got, you know, Darrell Brown and Jakob Wenzel on my team, of course.
Of course you have the heavy hitters. It seems like you have everyone that's in the top, like, on your Crankworx fantasy team.
Yeah, I kind of just wait till the last round to tell you who I chose.
I see how you do it. Well, hey, it's not too late. Make sure you get on Crankworx Fantasy for tomorrow. Pump Track Challenge presented by RockShox. That is going on for you tomorrow night. And I'll tell you what, this is the time to pick them because tonight you can go on there, crankworx.com/fantasy. You can pick your entire team for Pump Track for the guys and for the ladies and see how you can stack up. Daily prizes, but the overall grand prize is going to be a trip to Whistler, 5 days, and like $500 in Canadian cash in your pocket. Wait, did I just see Darrell Brown?
I noticed that, actually. Check this out, Brad.
Brown is a bike caddy.
Now, you don't see that very often from a dirt jump, slopestyle type guy. You see that with the racers, but Darrell Brown, you are now officially considered a racer.
Bike Sherpas here in Leger. I like that. Oh, look at this. And Wenzel.
Like some random guy pushing Jakob Wenzel's bike up the hill.
I don't think that's some rando. That's Thomas Slavic doing some work. Do you think he pays him for that? Now, this whole thing was started back in Rotorua. We'll flash it back. There you go. You can see Adrian Larone.
Adrian Larone, the trendsetter right here.
And look,
if you make it to the finals, you get a buddy to carry your bike up the hill.
But look at his bike Sherpa kept the wheels off the dirt. That's a proper Sherpa right there.
So the truth of the matter is, these guys have done so many rounds just to get to this final bracket. They gotta be beat. And now there's nobody left in the competition, so we're all waiting around until they get to the top. So it only makes sense to have some friends push their bike up. They can stay fresh, because pretty soon they're gonna be dropping in, deciding who gets gold and silver.
Well, Slavic competed a lot today too, and he's still pushing bikes up the hill.
But he doesn't have to compete anymore.
Yeah. All right, if you're just joining us, let's show you what happened in round 1 of the finals here. We only have one more race between these guys to go, but let's show you the matchup they did when they first went at each other. We're talking about Jakob Wenzel and Darrell Brown. Both have won it before. Here's run number 1.
So key points to think about. Don't put your foot down before the start.
Yeah.
And then the fact these guys have been doing the same trick on this first jump. Looked like Jakob may have been hinting at wanting another variation of that trick after getting his hands on the bars. But it comes down to what side you're on as a second thing, and then it really comes down to what trick you choose on this last jump. No surprises out of these guys so far, but if you're gonna pull out a surprise, now is the best time and the only time to pull it out.
Well, and that's gonna mean Jakob Wenzel needs to pull it out because he's the one who's behind Darrell Brown, and you saw Darrell Brown kind of bobble in that start gate right there and still didn't affect him as far as taking the advantage on this one.
I like to try to look at their eyes and see if they're contemplating, because it's a big decision what trick you're gonna do. And when you're in the finals, it can make you or break you.
Slavik was talking to Brown, and he was also carrying the bike up for Wenzel. He's trying to get in the middle of this thing. I like what's going on here. So you got to think you're Jakob Wenzel at this point, and I'm just going to be the layman at this point. I got to think that he's going to try something different as far as the tricks goes to see if he can make up the difference. Yeah, that's what you got to do if you want to come away with the gold medal. It comes down to this right now. Darrell Brown versus Jakob Wenzel. Darrell Brown won it in Leger last year. Well, Jakob Wenzel, he won up to him. He won it in Rotorua just 2 months ago. The one thing is, whoever wins this is going to be a member of the two-timer club with 2 wins in your dual speed and style. That has not been done, but only 2 other guys have done it. Here we go, we're racing.
Last run for all the marbles. Jakob Wenzel does get the 360 tuck no-hander to bar spin. He was contemplating that in the first run. Jakob Wenzel on the faster course, getting the variation. He's ahead of Darrell Brown, doing exactly what he needs to do. Darrell Brown is down.
Darrell Brown goes down. Brown is down, and here comes Jakob Wenzel. Rubber side down, crossing the line. Winner of speed. He's going to make up the difference, and Jakob Wenzel will go back-to-back gold medals on your Crankworx World Tour 2017.
Jakob Wenzel, back-to-back wins. Tough break for Darrell Brown, the guy who went out here last year. It's not going to be twice in a row for him. Just pushing it a little bit too hard. I wonder if he could tell that Jakob got that bar spin variation on the first jump. Let's take a look back.
Yeah, I want to see if Darrell Brown actually sees him get that. Because like I was saying before, that's exactly what Jakob was thinking. Okay, I got to change things, add one more combo to that trick up top so I can outright beat him. Here we go.
There it is. 360 tuck no-hander to bar spin, almost fumbling the bars. There's no way Darrell Brown could see that in his peripheral vision. Darrell Brown just pushing it a little bit too hard, knowing he only had 0.99 of an advantage, and he was now on the slower course. You know, he'll be able to go to sleep tonight knowing at least he went for it.
Well, look at that. You'd think the man would be excited about this time, but he is the gold medal winner. There's the smile from Jakob Wenzel. Let's check in with Hannah Bernard. She's down there. He's the winner. Back-to-back wins for Jakob Wenzel. Hannah?
Thank you very much, Brad. That is right. We have our back-to-back winner, Jakob Wenzel. Guys, make some noise for our gold medalist here today. Let's start off with fatigue. Obviously playing such a huge factor. We saw you have Thomas Slavic, the fellow Czech Republic rider, helping you up the hill. Talk about how you had to dig deep to overcome the fatigue here today.
I mean, to have Thomas here or someone here, you know, that's always great. Not to be alone for that. Also have my girlfriend here, by the way. But, oh yeah, it was really tough today. Luckily, I didn't have to do the first run as I won the qualification, and then it just, I don't know, it just worked good again.
Can you walk us through the winning run coming down?
Oh yeah, I wanted to do this 3 tuck to bar on the first jump in like 3 runs already, and never worked. I always popped wrong. I was like, okay, now I have to do that. So that worked. The flip double axe, that thing, as always. And I don't know what happened to Daryl. I hope he's all right.
Yeah, we will get an update on Daryl, but obviously such a huge accomplishment. You got second in Whistler last year, you got first in Rotorua, and now a repeat gold. Tell us the feeling that you're feeling right now, Jakob.
It's great. What can I tell you? I was coming here, not putting too much pressure on myself, just try that again, and it worked. Hey.
It definitely worked. Guys, make some noise for your Crankworx Leger gold medalist here in the dual speed and style.
Well, you know, there's been 10 different winners since the start of this thing in 2012, but this guy so consistent going back-to-back here in 2017. Jakob Wenzel taking care of business in a big way today with that win.
He's 100% solidified his status as the guy to beat when it comes to dual speed and style. Congrats to Jakob.
Oh, you see that right there, Cam?
Pump track, baby.
Leger Pump Track Challenge presented by RockShox. That is on like Donkey Kong. That's going to be going on for you. Please join us for that one. 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, going to be that time for that. And you can see the rest of the times right there from New Zealand. And all the times for us to join us for that one. Leger Pump Track Challenge presented by RockShox. That is going to be tomorrow. That'll be our second broadcast and our second stop out here in the Crankworx Leger, our second stop of the Crankworx World Tour. So taking a look at things as they played out here, an amazing day. There you go. Jakob Wenzel taking home the gold medal. Daryl Brown will settle for silver. Not too bad going gold last year and taking the silver this year. Mitch Ropalato ending up in the 4th spot, but the return of the big Swede, that's a good story too. Cam Martin Soderstrom getting a bronze medal today.
And all of these guys adding up their points tally for the 2017 overall in dual speed and style.
Yeah, and you look at, you know, the series title right now with 4 events, and Jakob taking 2 of them when it comes to dual speed and style. It's the Mons Royal dual speed and style coming up in Austria, and we'll see if can he continue this. Could he go 3 straight? Well, we've never seen that ever before at Crankworx. So taking a look at it, let's show you the leaderboard. This is how it works for dual speed and style. Yeah, absolute perfect. See that? 300. That means he's got 2 wins, both of them worth 150 points. Adrian Lerone, he is in that 2nd spot with 130 points. Look at the difference between number 2 and number 1, Cam.
Well, with only 2 events left, he's won 50% of the events. Jakob Wenzel looking real good for the World Tour 2017 dual speed and style. But let's take a look at the standings for King of Crankworx so far.
Well, Thomas Slavic, he won the King of Crankworx last year. Well, how are things looking now? Jakob Wenzel leapfrogging Matt Walker to the top. So Matt Walker, he's going to have to settle for 2nd right now, and Adrian Lerone in 3rd. But look at the challenge, the amount of points. Walker's only 20 points behind Jakob, so he can catch up on that. Adrian Lerone, he's got some work to do. Maybe tomorrow on the pump track he can catch back up, but you got Slavic too as well. Final thoughts, Cam?
Well, you know what? Jakob Wenzel, the guy we're looking at on the screen right there, I'm 100% the man to beat. I'm sure we'll see him tomorrow on the pump track challenge.
Well, it's been an amazing day out here in Crankworx. Not disappointing. Leger, stop number 2. We saw the best whip. That took place yesterday. And congratulations to our top 3 on that one, taking care of things out there. And that was, of course, Anthony Roque from France, Alan Cook in 2nd, and William Robert in France, 3rd place. That was in our whip-off yesterday. But today, it's all about Jakob Wenzel taking the gold, Daryl Brown grabbing the silver, Martin Soderstrom taking the bronze medal. A tough crash for Mitch Ropalato. We wish him the best on his heel up and hope that he is better, because that was a tough one. And we'll send out the positive vibes once again for Mitch Ropalato. Well, on behalf of our entire Crankworx crew for making things happen out here, and Cam McCall and everyone else here out in the crew, I'm Brad J. And goodbye from Leger.